Good afternoon. We are from Hayden. I'm from the University.
Dr. Ishaq Mohammed Al-Khalifa, University of Berlin.
Zulkarnain Nafi, I'm from the Ministry of Education, and also the University of Minnesota.
Thank you very much, panel members. These 7 brave people have agreed to be panel members in this final closing panel session, and it's kind of an open question and answer session. You can identify individual members of the panel or just put a question to the panel, in which case I will choose one at random. There are 3 emerging themes that I think I've picked up from travelling around the tracks and from the plenary sessions. The first is this whole issue about public and private universities, for profit and not for profit. The second, of course, was the debate this morning about local and international accreditation and quality assurance. And the third seems to be emerging is to what extent we should change strategy in order to accommodate rankings, or vice versa. That seems to be quite an interesting point. I think there's a fourth thing that I would just throw in for people to consider, because tomorrow there is a ranking session being run by Berbel Eckermann from London, and it's looking at rankings for this part of the world in particular, and you might want to raise issues about the sort of criteria that you think might be included at that ranking session. So if you want to practice that during the panel session, then please do so. Okay, let's begin with the idea of the relationship between rankings and strategy. Any questions from the floor for our panel members about the extent to which one should amend strategy in order to accommodate rankings? Any questions? Or anything, any issue from the whole conference?
Can I start?
Sure, go ahead.
This is something that I didn't have time to talk about, so I'm explaining. I did say, if you remember this morning, that as far as our university is concerned, we think ranking is important, but we don't need to assume, right? And I think this is critical because why we actually chose ranking as one of our targets in realizing the Vision 2015 of the universities, because it's an absolute measure. When you say we want to be in the QS ranking by 2015, whatever number that is, everyone in the university will know the destination. And I think this is very important if you're transforming a university. When we first came in, the leadership team, my colleagues are in the front row here, the vision was so up in the air. It's very nice, first-class international university, distinctive international, our local identity. But if you ask 10 people what it means, you get 10 different answers. So I think in terms of strategy, I do feel that it's quite good to have it. But please don't forget what we need to be doing for your nation. I think that's critical, and this is why I stand by my position again in saying that if in the event that we're trying to pursue excellence for the economic or social development of our university and the country, and we get into the ranking, that is good. But don't be too consumed by it, because you may do all sorts of things which will get you to the top 100 in the world and not serve the requirements of your nation. So that's just the addition I want to say.
Thank you, Dr. Soul. Prof. Sultan.
I think this is a very important issue. When we talk about the 3 pillars for any university in the world: teaching, research, and social services. Sometimes you look at a university, like the University of Cairo region. It has more than 250,000 students, a lot of students. And if you want to compare this to a small university, sometimes it's not fun. It's bias. Look at some of the American universities, like Harvard. It's #1. It's #1 specialized university can be number 1 or 10 or 15, but the comprehensive school, comprehensive university, sometimes it's not even among the 30 or the 40, but they are doing as good as the number 15 or number 12. I feel personally, this is a commercial issue in many ways. A lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, they are doing this for business. But if you are good, you are good. If you are good in teaching, you are good in research, you are good in social service for your country, for your city, this is a great thing. But sometimes, which I have heard, we were talking about ranking of the Arab universities. I'll be honest with you, this is very touchy, very sensitive issue. I don't think it is right to compare the University of Cairo, which has built more than 100 years ago and has graduated hundreds of thousands of students, prime ministers, rectors and diplomats, to a small university, for example, in Jordan. I'm not talking about other countries. In Jordan, for example, where we have 10,000 students.
Yeah.
In Jordan, we have University of Jordan or Yarmouk University, where I had the pleasure to be. I was rector of this university, that 40,000 students. I can't compare myself to a small university, 2,000 students, but they have the money. They can do a lot of things in this.
There's a lot of questions in there. I just want to put one perhaps to Todd, who's chairing the panel. One of the questions you raise is the 3 missions: learning and teaching, research, and knowledge transfer, community-based work, as well as commercial work. I've always believed that one of the dangers of rankings is that they discriminate against the non-hard sciences, because it's much easier to gain a lot of citations in medicine, biology, chemistry, engineering, and the physical sciences, to the detriment of the arts, the humanities, and some, although not all, of the social sciences. So Todd, I wonder if you could comment on how important it is that we don't lose some of the arts, humanities, and the broad base for our universities.
That's a good point. And I probably have to take on my take off my university president's hat and put on my parent hat to answer that
Sure.
question. As I suspect you may know, Kevin, my wife and I have 2 sons, and they're actually both performing artists. They're both violinists. So this is actually an important question to me personally. I think it is a real concern. I think, let me start with the sort of engineer's answer to the danger I see in putting rankings ahead of strategy, just maybe at the risk of being a little provocative. One of the initial conditions set for me and my team at Khalifa when I came in, I was very happy to see that. Now, I knew it would last long, but the instruction that we had from our leadership and our board was really, in these inaugural years, think about doing the right things. Think about setting KPIs, think about setting goals for your university that are representative of the aspirations you have. Let's not put that in terms of rankings just yet. And I think, maybe one message or one conclusion I would draw from that is that the appropriate role of rankings in your thinking might be a little different depending on whether you're at a new startup university as opposed to one that's existing for a while and now you have some experience and you know the market that you're operating in and you desire to change your trajectory, for example, or to influence a certain type of behavior. I think that's one thing. Maybe drawing on my Duke University experience a little bit, I think there were 2 things I feel like I observed, and again, we're engineers, we can't help it. The immediate tendency sometimes in this leadership, when we get the latest set of rankings, is to immediately try to reverse engineer them and figure out, okay, if we can do this and we can do that. Of course, there's a couple of obvious problems with that way of thinking. First of all, it assumes that the competition is standing still. But I think the other issue with that is that you're almost by definition lagging behind a year or 2. And in many of the markets and many of the regions, as we've heard throughout the conference, they're evolving so fast. That, you know, maybe one message or one conclusion I would draw from that is that you're almost by definition lagging behind a year or 2. And in many of the markets and many of the regions, as we've heard throughout the conference, they're evolving so fast
that I'm not necessarily sure that this sort of micro-analytical, reverse engineering way of looking at rankings is the way to go. The other thing I guess I just observe, and it's just an observation, so when I was in the dean's office at Duke, the coin of the realm, if you like, in terms of attracting the best students was actually the U.S. students rankings. You know, if you're sitting in America, yeah, the world rankings are there, and for a place like Duke and Stanford, whatever, you care about it. But the things that students respond to and the reasons in which parents will guide their children towards picking university A or B actually have more to do with the U.S. news rankings. What's really striking about them, if we're completely honest with each other, is that over the last 20 to 25 years, they're remarkably inertial. They really don't change very much. And so people put all of this heat into trying to improve their rankings position. And at least in the mature ranking system, I think maybe the story on the international ranking scene is a little bit different. But they really don't move very much. And I think one is sort of left wondering whether this is the right way to guide your team's attention. I think it has to guide your team. It's very helpful to set an inspiration. And in fact, I think that's actually the most, for me, in terms of strategy. I think that's the most important thing about rankings, is it at least gives you a way that's commonly understood across campus to articulate what the level of aspiration is, which we often take for granted as leaders and is oftentimes underappreciated. Beyond that, I'm pretty skeptical, I have to say, in many respects. And I'm not an expert really on the humanities and arts, but except to say that I pretty much know it's a problem. What I do see, by the way, and so what I know is conservatories at this point, which is maybe way to the extreme of what you're talking about. And I would say rankings, at least in the States, with regard to conservatories, are pretty irrelevant. It's much more word of mouth. It's where the last generation of performing artists have come from. Yeah. People are really looking at results, and they're looking at results over a couple of decades. And maybe there's something to be learned from that. I'm not really sure.
Thanks, Todd. Nigel, you wanted to add to that comment, and then we'll go to you, Matt.
Sure. I've got, I think that's absolutely right about the bias of the big science on these league tables, but I've got a much more profound objection to chasing league tables. These league tables and rankings, these come from soccer and American football. And the feature of games like soccer is that you all play the same game. You know, if you're Liverpool or Manchester United, you'll get set, you get 11 players each, and you have to kick goals and all this kind of thing. Now, the problem with the world rankings is they basically measure how much like the world's elite research universities you are. So, you take a small number of institutions like Harvard, MIT, Oxford, Cambridge, and you say, those are the world's elite. Our league table will now measure how much like that you are in terms of citations and impact factor and so on. And of course, we're not all playing soccer. People are playing different games. Many universities, many of the people in this room have got a very different mission. And I think Cairo was the example that was cited, a university with 250,000 students. We know that higher education is one of the ways to transform societies and transform economies. There are bountiful examples. The best one is Korea, that in 1960 had about 10% participation rate in higher education, the same as Brazil, invested heavily in higher education, now has the highest participation rate in the world, and is one of the world's richest countries. Brazil is still a developing country. You've seen the way that those two societies have been transformed, one by investing in higher education, one by failing to. So I think that really universities need to pursue their mission first and foremost, and if that, I think as the point was made earlier by UBD, if that happens to pull you up in league tables, so be it, but don't sacrifice your mission for the sake of a league table position.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I work at the University of Bahrain, but my study history has been international. I studied at the University of Bahrain, then I studied at the University of George Washington, then I studied for my PhD at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. So in a sense, I've covered more than one continent. Basically, the way we see it is that we don't have the same student intake level as Harvard, MIT, and so on. So the idea of the ranking is good because let's just say it gives a culture or an idea of excellence or setting targets, but in the end, just like Nigel said, it is a race. If we have students coming at different levels from these high-end institutions, we have to calculate the value added. How much improvement are we adding to these students that are coming to us? They are not at the same level as Harvard, MIT, and Stanford, so we start at a lower level. We have to work harder to be able to compete with them. So perhaps that's one of the reasons that most universities end up in the same rank. But it is good as a culture, in my opinion, because it sets some of the goals. It doesn't cover all the objectives of the university, but perhaps it would be like a cause for seeking excellence. And through excellence, the university tries to add as much value to students as possible.
Thank you. Let's move the ranking issue on. I'll come to you in a moment, Professor Al-Hawaj. I just want to ask the question to the panel, those particularly that haven't spoken yet. Do you have any suggestions for QS tomorrow when they're canvassing opinion on ranking as what should be left out and what should be included newly into any ranking for the Middle East region or whatever they're going to call it? I mean, that in itself is problematic. Prof. Riyad, would you like to start, and then maybe we come to Noor and Kathleen?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I think the panelists here have pointed out some of the shortcomings of ranking as they are right now. And these shortcomings, I think, we know that universities have different missions. Some of them are comprehensive universities. Some of them are comprehensive with a medical school, some without a medical school. Some are liberal arts universities, and some are technical universities. So you cannot put all universities in one bag and come up with something overall for all of them. If we're going to do any ranking system, we have to really be cognizant of the differences between the universities' missions in general, I mean the categories of universities, and maybe devise a new ranking system that really takes into considerations, because at the end all of us are here because we think rankings are somewhat indicative of quality across the whole universities. And rankings actually may measure quality in a certain set of universities, but not necessarily in all types of universities. So if we're going to devise something new, I think we need to have something that really takes into consideration the different types of universities and really make the system reflective of quality for different types and take note of the differences between these. There was one statistics we did a while back. Overall here in the Emirates, over 90% of the publications are the science and applied science areas, medical areas. That leaves less than 10% in the social sciences, even the businesses, there are not that many, and also humanities and so forth. And also we looked at, for example, in my universities, most of the contributions are coming from the science and applied science colleges, while the humanities and the social sciences are about half of the other the universities. So where do we account for their quality outcomes? How do we account for that? And a system, the ministry here showed us one system yesterday, I believe, was the presentation by the Ministry of Higher Education. And different people can, of course, devise different systems. But at the end, we need to be able to have an independent body, give us an evaluation of the quality of the different institutions. And the ranking systems so far, they're good for a certain class, but not necessarily all the classes. And there's a disservice, I think, being done if we generalize the implications from that.
I'm kind of hearing, before we come to Noor, I'm kind of hearing an argument from the panel as a whole for rather like a football league where you have a sectorization in rankings. So you have a research intensive. In Hong Kong, we divide our universities into research intensive, professional schools and applied research, and liberal arts colleges. So I'm kind of hearing an argument for dividing the rankings into I don't mean A, B, and C in terms of one is better than the other, but dividing them according to their sector or their mission. Nor, can you comment on that?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's best to have them in category. Yeah, but on top of that, it would be very good if we can choose the subject that we want to go into, because parents and students, they are more interested in the area that their children are going to go, rather than this, because some schools, they may be good in engineering, but may not be good in performing arts, for example. But if I were to send my student, I want to know which school is good in which area. So if we are to choose, I would choose subjects. We go with subjects, our best subjects to go first, and then follow through with the others.
Yeah, thank you. That's I think, very important comment. Catherine?
Yeah, the only thing probably I would add is that you have to compare like with like. You can't compare a new university like the university that I'm in, that's only coming up for 10 years old, and expect them to be able to produce the same level of research, have the same number of faculty, etc., as the older universities and more traditional universities. So my message for tomorrow, when you're considering an Arab league table, is to make sure that you aren't comparing a new university with the University of Cairo, for example. But for many people, the league tables are not, I don't mean it lightly, but a game, and people are either really good at playing that game or they're not so good at playing it, and the people who move up the tables are those who get how to play the game. And it's not only about strategy, not necessarily about strategy, it's about how good you get at playing the game and how you even return the statistics for that game.
Mm. I think that's also a good comment. What about, I mean, I'm going to give you a positive comment about the rankings, although people here will know I'm a rankings skeptic. My positive comment is, if your university has a negative, or not a negative, but not a particularly positive local reputation, you can sometimes use your international improvement in rankings to persuade your government to move you into another sector. Now, there have been plenty of examples of that around the world, particularly in Hong Kong, where, you know, a university that perhaps is ranked 5th in Hong Kong, like Polytechnic University, its world reputation is actually far better than its local reputation, and the international reputations influence the local reputation. So I just wonder if one or two members of the panel could just comment on any positive aspects to try and balance the argument that they've got from rankings over and above those that Dr. Rasool mentioned earlier. Anyone like to? Nigel, would you like to?
Before we got on to that, I just thought, in terms of setting us up for tomorrow's debate, I think the search for some kind of common mission that you can judge everybody by is completely sterile. In terms of my kind of analogy, you know, this is the equivalent of taking the soccer team and the rugby team and the cricket team and saying, okay, we've got a new game to play, it's called ping pong, and we're going to judge you all against how well you play ping pong. Actually, nobody's playing ping pong. Nobody plays that game. So trying to gauge people according to some sort of average mission that everybody's got doesn't take you anywhere at all. I think your idea of having clusters of universities with light missions has far more mileage in it. Tom, answer to your question.
Yeah, it was your idea.
Yeah, I just have a quick thought based on my colleague's remark a little bit earlier, which I think is exactly right. The thing I struggle with, I'm thinking a little bit about the session tomorrow, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to be there, but what I would want to contribute to it. It seems to me that the thing that I'm usually most dissatisfied with, that I would really like to change about just any ranking system I've seen, is how do we quantify or measure or evaluate the value add that the university experience gives to the student, whatever our mission is. You know, I'm in a startup institution now. I was in a very highly ranked institution before that for most of my career, and I think we both struggle with that same issue for different reasons, perhaps. I mean, you get really smart students, and you don't mess them up. They do great things. But you have students who maybe have some challenges coming in. How can we get a handle collectively on how effective we are within our missions of really taking those students forward beyond what they would have been able to do otherwise? And I don't have a good answer to that, but I think that would be a noble goal if we were able to move it forward in our rankings methodologies.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point. I'm going to be a bit controversial now, but it's genuine. I need some input. Well, I don't. QS needs some input from this group of people here, those that won't be coming tomorrow. I understand, and I understand this from colleagues of mine from around the Middle East who've emailed me in the last couple of weeks and said they really disagree. And I have to say, I'm going to declare I also disagree with the idea of calling these rankings Arab rankings or rankings for the Arab world. I find it very hard to stomach that, given that all the other rankings, the regional rankings, are done by geography. And maybe I'm being too politically correct, which I've never been accused of before, I have to say. But maybe I'm being too politically correct, and I struggle with the idea of a rankings for the Arab world when we have a Latin American rankings and Asian rankings and so on. We have geographical division. I'd be very interested in comments from the panel or from the floor about their feelings coming from this part of the world about this issue. I think Dr. Zul, I know, has views on this.
Thanks, Kevin. Let's not talk about the Arab world. Dr. Amin is here. How do you feel if we have ranking for the Malay world? Exactly.
Or for the Caucasian world.
Yeah, you know, I think the world as it is today, you know, we're celebrating diversity, you know, and if I look at my own university, yeah, it's a small university, 3,500, and yet, you know, we're approaching, what, 15% of international students, and that doesn't include students who come as a part-time basis from overseas to do summer schools and so on. My concern is this, you know, for a community like the Malay world, for example, you know, as it is, you know, we don't have many universities, you know, ranked either regionally or globally. Now, is that going to disadvantage us? Is that going to create a second-class ranking? And because, you know, I'm not saying we're not capable of being excellent. I think we are. But the trouble is, once you start developing this, I guess, second-class sort of ranking, you know, we'll be forever inward-looking rather than being outward-looking. I think it takes a lot to try and get into the global, the Asian ranking or the world ranking. But as one of my colleagues said, it's an aspiration, you know. Yeah. But again, I repeat myself, focus on what you need for your country first, you know, before getting there. So.
This lady, thank you very much for that. This lady here has a comment. Then I will come to you, Professor Al-Hawaj, and then I'll go to Kingsley.
Hi, hello, good afternoon. I agree with the speaker. I mean, I don't think it's wise to call it the Arab world ranking. We already have conflict of sect, of gender, of ethnicity, of. We'll add ranking now to it, and also it will become like a second layer of ranking. I mean, ranking is important, but you have to be sure that you have to be sure within yourself that you are providing a quality service. Yes. And everybody understands that most ranking is based on research, and sometimes it's not fair. Yes, a lot of about ranking is not fair because you are comparing different things. Yes. But I don't know what's the point of calling it an Arab ranking. You will create so much for no good reason.
Well, I totally agree.
Why you want to do that? I don't know why.
I think it's a very good point. And I would also say that just like I work in Hong Kong, we don't have a rankings for the ethnic Chinese world because many of us working in Hong Kong are not ethnic Chinese anyway. Just as many people working in Arab countries might not necessarily be Arabs. So I think that the name ranking for the Arab world is certainly problematic. And I hope people raise it tomorrow. Professor Al-Hawaj, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I think it's very, very important to have ranking. And I agree, of course, Dr. Sheikh and the previous also, that there shouldn't be, you know, ranked based on area or ethnicity, because it's going to be different tiers of ranking. So, but I think we need to look at the ranking itself I mean, is it fair to compare a university which is 300 years old, which has graduated so many scholars, where there's so many Nobel winners, okay, who were probably 80 or 90 years ago. So maybe we should look at and put coefficients, you know. If you have done very well 100 years ago, it's multiplied by certain factors. Like what we have with the BS. A student can be cumulative GPA 2, but if he does in this semester 4, then he has a lot of progress. So probably you have to do this. The second thing, which I think is very important, and I think US are doing it, is the categories. More important than ranking, I feel. But ranking is important because there is a prestige in it. I'm ranked 27 in the world, so it's something really. But if it comes tomorrow, I'm ranked 12 at the Arab world and 6 at the GCC, and then it's going to be really mild and going this. So I think we should have the two, the categories, which is probably, you're calling it stars or whatever it is, QS 4 stars or 3 stars or 2 stars. So plus, if we could revisit the ranking itself and base it in more recent history, like as I said, a certain coefficient has to do with, because you may have been very good and produced so many scholars 100 years ago, but you're no longer doing it, so I shouldn't add the whole thing.
Yep.
A factor of it only.
Thank you. Professor Bolton, Sultan, I'll come back later because I want everyone to have a chance to speak.
Yes, thanks very much, Kevin. Just one specific point, if I may, and then a more general comment. Picking up on the importance of subject rankings, or the potential for greater sophistication and accuracy in subject rankings, I have to say QS has been a disappointment in that area in the past few years, because as you know, they keep changing the goalposts. And as it's for humanities, and the voice of humanities in these kinds of contexts is possibly weaker than other disciplines, then I don't think they've had enough pushback about that. But as you know, they haven't been consistent in subject rankings. And I think that if we have a mature system of subject rankings, that would allow for universities from all over the world to excel in certain niche areas, which would perhaps create a sort of more diverse, more diverse outcomes within the rankings. The other point, which is a more general point, is that you touched on, are the humanities and social sciences less well served today than they were perhaps 30 years ago? And I think the answer is yes. I think that the humanities traditionally, if we look back 50 years, was an elite area of academic engagement. In many universities worldwide, it's been reduced to secretarial studies. Now, the importance of the humanities, I would argue as a vicious liberal, is that in a sense, it's a difference between being educated and being schooled. If you concentrate entirely on vocational education, you will have vocationally trained students rather than well-educated students. Surely universities are institutions where we would aim to have well-educated students that graduate with a well-rounded education, so they're able to engage in a whole range of different discourses. Partly, perhaps, this has been one of the causes of this, perhaps, has been the change of university managements over the years. I think in my undergraduate days, we had many more humanists who were presidents, rectors, vice-chancellors of universities, and I can think of a couple of outstanding examples of that. But worldwide today, particularly in the Asian region, as you know, no offense to anyone here, so many university presidents, sorry about this proliferation, happen to be engineers, or again, I've got the greatest respect for the medical profession, medics. And I think that that does engender a certain kind of bias. Thanks very much, Kevin.
Thank you, Kingsley. This gentleman here, please.
I have a question. That I work a lot with universities in doing engagement work. How do you engage your students and your alumni, whether domestic or international? And the thing that's interesting in my work internationally is that the institutions say, our alumni aren't engaged with us. Our students aren't engaged with us. And they're an important asset for your institution. And as the universities, is what we were talking earlier, is how are we engaging them? We're teaching them, great, they move on and move forward, but how are we engaging them as stakeholders? What are universities doing in trying to define what is the student experience you want your students to have for your particular university, whether you're domestic or you're international students? So I think the research and the academia is important, but at the end of the day, let's not forget we're serving students. And then I even go further when I talk to institutions saying, what does your local community know about the impact that you're having locally? Because we know a large number of students won't ever access the university in your community. But what's the impact of your institution doing community engagement and have an impact so that the general society knows that this university, especially if it's a public one that's being publicly funded, is having a benefit for there. So I'd really like to hear from the panelists, what are you doing in terms to really have a true, meaningful student engagement so that you'll have good alumni engagement that can give back and unlock contributions to advance your institution and community-wise?
Okay, I mean, thank you for changing the subject. I thought actually that it wasn't related, but then I remembered that a couple of months ago, for the first time, I was asked to do a presentation to our Alumni Association, which is very active and very large. And do you know what they wanted to know about? Rankings. And they wanted to know about rankings because they said it influences how employers see their degrees. And as City University rises in the rankings, the alumni rise in terms of their pride and their commitment and their openness about being graduates from City University of Hong Kong. But I'm going to hand over to the panel. Well, I would say, yeah. I don't accept that. I don't think it's just the big ones. The small and medium enterprise in particular perhaps are more likely to be duped by the idea of a higher ranking, meaning that this is a better institution. So I think it's across the board, actually. But I'm grateful for raising it. I want to hand Catherine to respond.
Thank you. In our university, we see that as being a crucial part of our role within the community. So we start engaging with communities even before the students are of the age to come, or even to be thinking about university. So we're engaging with very young school children, bringing them along to the university to see what a university is like. The slightly older school children then being involved in some small lab experiments, that type of thing. So from the community's point of view, we engage really early to let children who perhaps wouldn't see university as being part of their normal career path to try and engage them with a university at an early stage, so that then engenders in them a desire to attend university. Of course, our student engagement is really important, and as most universities would have, we have a university student engagement office that would deal with that, and a separate careers and alumni office who continue to follow students and host events, etc., for them once they leave. But a crucial part of being proud of your university is what happens when you leave and where you go and what you achieve. And we're really keen to track our graduates and to find out where our alumni are working, and we're in the process of doing exactly that, and they're spread throughout the globe. So I think it's crucial that we start well before the students even think about coming to university, and continue that engagement well after they've left university.
Thank you. Can I ask you to hold the microphone a little closer, because the acoustics are a bit
Sure.
off. Certainly from where I'm standing.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Concerning the University of Bahrain, it is a public university, and it's the first university that was opened in Bahrain. Now there are many others. Basically, it depends on its history. It has around 20,000, 18,500 students at the moment. We're talking about a population of the country. It's a bit over 1 million, but the nationals are around half of that. So basically, this university's community engagement is very strong. It is engaged in almost all aspects of training, functions, social functions, everything you can imagine within the community. So if you look at within the community, within the country, they don't even look at international rankings. Perhaps that's one of the things that ailed us. I'm here for the first time, because people have not paid a lot of attention to international rankings. It's fine, their children go to the university, they end up getting employed following the university. Now they're starting to look at that as international competition. But on the local sense, the university engagement with the society is so strong that people are not really looking at what the numbers are. We're just waking up to that now. So I agree with you, social community service is very strong in creating a reputation for the university within the society that we have. And mainly the student intake for the University of Bahrain are Bahrainis. We don't have a lot of foreign students because of the strong subsidies from the government. We are obliged to accept more Bahrainis. So the reputation plays a major role. So the numbers don't really matter that much. But the contribution is big in this. Perhaps if the numbers in the rankings could reflect some of the footprint of the university in the local community, perhaps that would help.
Thank you. Nigel.
I'd just like to make a segue back from John's point about the alumni, back to the kind of general attempt to try to improve the rankings. I mean, one of the things about the World University Rankings is that they use the reputation survey. And I think, John, is it 50% of the weighting? 40% of the weighting. So 40% of the weighting is basically calculated by asking people, have you heard of this place and how good do you think it is? Now, one of the advantages of that is it kind of captures all the intangibles about a university that you can't measure. The disadvantage is that it's really biased towards age. You know, if something's been around a long time and has a lot of alumni, a lot of people have heard of it, it has higher brand recognition than someone new. And what we've heard, you know, during the last couple of days, which has been fascinating for me to be here in this kind of, I suppose, real kind of laboratory experiment in the way that higher education is growing so quickly, is that, you know, we've heard that the Arab universities are amongst the oldest in the world, or the oldest in the world, the 2 or 3 very early universities, but the vast majority of them are very new, which means that reputation surveys are going to clearly bias against those schools. Now, some of the rankings that do things like looking at the young universities or the new universities, they dispense with the reputation survey and they just focus on the quality of the outputs that can be measured. Now, that's one way in which you might get a more realistic, or a more representative ranking of Arab universities.
Thank you for that. We were kind of talking about how, imagine a world without rankings. What would we not have done in the last 10 years in universities that we have done probably as a result of rankings? I'd be very interested to hear from anyone on the panel about, I mean, I think Zul alluded to this earlier when he said at least it's a reasonably objective measure and it gets everyone centered around a particular campfire, if you see what I mean. So what would we not have done that we've been doing in the last 10 years if there weren't rankings? Yeah.
It would be very boring, I would say. Yeah, because education is very competitive. Because of ranking, it become even more competitive. Yes, and we know that we are all global citizens, and the ranking make it even so. And because of that, we all go for internationalizations, and we even have a post for our Deputy Vice Chancellor on internationalization. So.
Thank you. I think it's a good comment. Prof. Rayad.
I just want to say maybe, you know, it's probably accreditation had more impact on universities than, yeah, accreditation has more impact on universities than rankings per se, because accreditation really goes to the disciplinary areas. And when you have teams reviewing programs and outcomes from specific programs, their evaluation really is very objective and straightforward to that you know, faculty group that are running the programs. So from that perspective, you know, faculty got more, you know, became more aware of what their main, you know, function is, what their main task is, and how they should go about their business. and what are expectations, who are they serving at the end, you know. Faculty after time, sometimes they tend to forget who they should be serving, you know, at their respective departments. So I think, you know, accreditation probably has more impact. Ranking is really for reputation, mostly it's more for, you know, bragging rights, so to speak, you know, but I think accreditation probably has more impact on the university than the ranking.
Thank you. Todd.
So one thing that occurs to me, and I guess maybe I'm not speaking about this region, it's probably too early to tell, but other places I've been, one thing that I think rankings have made people do that they shouldn't have is a lot of institutions, in my opinion, have tried to make themselves into something they're not. So because in most ranking systems, research is so important. So I'm thinking of certain states I know in the United States where resources are limited. You maybe have a flagship institution in the state, and then you have some other state-supported institutions. Maybe they offer specialized teaching programs in certain areas where they're very well reputed. And I think one of the things we've seen in the States, at least, is that as ranking systems have become more prevalent in everybody's thinking, colleges became universities. Every university now needed to call itself out as a research university, kind of a zero-sum game because it wasn't necessarily clear that the resources that would drive all of this were available to everyone. And I do think that there are some ecosystems, at least that I'm familiar with, where it's actually diluted quality overall.
Yep, thank you. One other question to throw out to the audience and the panel. We all seem to accept, don't we, that bibliometrics, Web of Science, Scopus, we all accept it. It's not as controversial as rankings. It's not really any different, is it? Is it any different? We all accept Scopus, Web of Science. Is it any different? It's a ranking of sorts. You get your H-index. People can see how many people cite you. Just because you're cited more often, does it mean your paper's better or just more controversial or more popular? Prof. Sultan.
I'm sorry to talk again, but this is my job.
Do stand up.
If you look at the universities in the Arab world, as we mentioned in this morning, it is a modern universities in the Arab region. We have more than 700 universities nowadays. If we look at the gender issue, 55% of our students, they are females. This is great. But almost 85% humanities and social sciences. Only 15% in science and engineering and medical school. Almost 90 or 85% undergraduate and 15 graduate. And now it is not really fair for the Arab countries to be ranked with the American or with the European universities. I agree with you. If you want to classify subjects area, for example, in chemistry, in physics, in mechanical engineering, this is fine, no problem about this. You're comparing apple with apple, but not apple with banana. This is a very important thing. I think if we look at the criteria for ranking, one of the most important things is research. How much money you are spending on research, especially from the private sectors. The Nobel laureates does not exist in most of in all the Arab countries. And internationalization. For example, the Saudis, they have 170,000 students studying abroad. But how many international students studying in Saudi Arabia and vice versa? Not many. We cannot talk about internationalization. Just like when in UK, you have almost 500,000 international students. But in some countries like Jordan, we do have 40,000 students. But even some rich countries in the Gulf countries, they don't attract students from outside because it's too expensive. And the second issue, it is the cost. If you look at Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, Djibouti, for example, poor countries, why they have to worry about ranking? They worry about one thing, just like what Dr. Riyad mentioned, is just our students should study, be talented, have a degree, work within their communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think take comment here, then I'll come to you, Mansour. And I think that will probably be the last comment. I'll let Todd have the final say as chair.
Can I talk about citation, which you have recently said about that there are nearly 3 criteria: Scopus, Google, as well as I.S. Thompson. And if you search any article on Google, that will be giving more citations as compared to Scopus as well as Thompson. I don't know QS ranking what criteria that is opting. I think so, that is Scopus. But Google is also a powerful media, you can say. Therefore, my suggestion is that Google must be included for citation searching for this QS ranking. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mansour?
Okay, thank you. There's a couple of things here. That I have a Samsung telephone in my pocket. I don't really know what the factory of Samsung looks like. I don't know how it operates inside. I don't know how it's evaluated in comparison with other factories in the world. But I do know their product is very useful and very good. So are we considering a lot of theoretical aspects in our rankings? Now, we are all happy to publish in star journals. But how many of these publications have actually found their way to real utilization? Because to my knowledge, real good original research is funded and done in research labs belonging to either government agencies or in major companies' research centers. Now, I would like to look at the ranking, maybe if we shift it a little bit towards evaluating my Samsung phone. So this is the alumni. Now, maybe we should put more emphasis on the alumni. Maybe that's where factors and weights should be. Whether even research itself, that's somehow a PhD candidate. I think I'm not against ranking. Ranking is good. Somebody will go, some people will nominate subjects, some people will nominate gender, some people will nominate many things. That will always be there. But I am more inclined that focus should be on the Samsung telephone in my pocket.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to come back to Todd now. I don't know whether you have any final words on this whole issue, or we have final words.
I'm sorry, just a quick comment concerning the H-index that you mentioned in ISI. Recently, there were discussions at the University of Bahrain because they found out that the Arabic research citations are not monitored by the H-index. So it's not really accepted universally yet. It's just a quick comment.
Yeah, and most of the journals that are included in both Thomson Web of Science and Elsevier Scopus, and I know the guy from Elsevier is here, are in English. So it's very biased towards the English-speaking world. Although I do know that Elsevier in particular listen if you want to apply to get a non-English journal into the Scopus list, and you can apply, and they do listen. Todd, I give you the final word.
Thank you. I'm not exactly sure how to wrap all that up. Well, I mostly, I guess, I'm gonna speak as a participant in this panel and maybe reflect a little on what I've really appreciated, not only about this session, but maybe particularly the debates. And I suspect maybe we'll recap that a little bit too in the next half hour or so. I think the issues we've looked at, you know, whether it's the local versus international accreditation issue, or the role of rankings and strategy, or you know, the other sort of big picture items we've talked about, those conversations that I think we could all recognize could go round and around and around forever, and are quite they're quite situation dependent. They can be regionally dependent in some cases. But I guess what I'd sort of like to observe, and actually what I really appreciate about this meeting, and I think Mandy, you and your team, and Kevin deserve a lot of credit for. My lens on these meetings now is a couple or 3 years old. And it seems to me that as we've gone forward, they've become increasingly interactive. We've heard increasingly frank and diverse dialogue taking place over these issues. And I sort of suspect that maybe a lot of the real value of these meetings is in fact in that dialogue, as opposed to whether the breakdown ended up being 55 to 45 at the end of the day. So I just want to express my appreciation. I'll do that formally in a few minutes. But for the format, I'll be very interested to sort of see after the meeting from the participants people's feedback and suggestions, and I trust there'll be an opportunity to do that about formats that can be looked at for future meetings. But at least for my part, I'd like to sort of applaud this direction. I think it's really worthwhile, and thank everybody, including you, Kevin, and the organizing team for putting that together. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. I'd just like to before we move on to the awards, I just want you to give a warm round of appreciation, not just to the panel, but those of you from the floor who've had the opportunity to speak. So thank you very much, panel, and thank you very much for those who asked questions and gave comment. Ladies and gentlemen, you're off the hook for now. You can leave the stage. I should come this way, Dato Zul. There's no steps that side, as I found out earlier on. I suddenly got a lot shorter. Okay, we now have a 20-minute session, which many of you I know are eagerly anticipating. We have something that's very important to all of us here. We first have presentation of scholarships to deserving, talented young academics. We then have the QS Maple Creative Awards ceremony being presented by Higher Colleges of Technology here in Abu Dhabi in UAE. And then we'll have some closing remarks from Mandy and some closing remarks from Todd. Now, while the stage is being changed, I just want to make some domestic announcements, if I can avoid being hit by the table. Maple Committee members, the meeting is at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow in the track room in the far corner opposite here. So all Maple Committee members, please note it is in the room over here in this hotel, the track room 4, I think it was, over in the far corner. So I'll see you there at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. Those who wish to go on the city tour or the desert safari, and I hope you've got a strong stomach for the desert safari because Todd has warned me it's bumpy, then you need to go to the ovation counter outside and register by 6 p.m. this evening. So the moment we finish, straight out to the ovation counter and register if you're up for being bounced around in the desert or if you want a more leisurely city tour. So Maple meeting, yeah. I would like to remind everybody who wants to attend the ranking workshop tomorrow, and I think there's probably a lot of interest after our discussion today, 9:15 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. there will be a shuttle bus leaving the lobby. So be in the lobby at 9:15 for the 9:30 shuttle bus. 9:15 a.m. in the lobby for the 9:30 shuttle bus to Khalifa University for the rankings workshop. One last thing I promised Dato Zul I would mention this morning, and just to show I seem to have a memory like an elephant, I haven't forgotten. I'd like to invite you all to University Brunei Dar es Salaam on the 15th and 16th of October. Please put it into your diaries. We have QS in conversation. We've had 2 or 3 of these. One was in Jordan, another one was in Dubai. They are very exciting events. And if you were as inspired as I was by Dato Zul's presentation this morning about the transformation they've made in Brunei, I really encourage you to go to this because, as I say, I've been there. It's a fascinating place. They've even got a field station in pristine rainforest. It's a very exciting ride to get there.
but it's a wonderful, multicultural, multinational research facility and fascinating. So I really encourage you. 15th, 16th of October, QS in Conversation, University Brunei, Dar es Salaam. Okay, when you apply for a visa, if you need one, just say, Dato Zul told you to apply. Okay, thank you very much. With no further ado, I'm going to invite Ms. Mandy Mock up onto the stage to award the QS scholarships. One either side of Mandy and Todd. Good. Thank you very much indeed, and congratulations to our recipients. Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Mandy will now, together with HCT, I don't know who is coming up from HCT, Mandy? Ah, you're already here. Thank you.
How are you, Mr. Kim?
I'm fine, thank you. HCT will now award the Creative Awards. Some of you have been waiting a long time for this, so I'm going to hand over to my colleague.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hamad Zafar Hira, and I am a Bachelor Applied Communication student at the Higher Colleges of Technology. Good afternoon, and welcome to the 4th QS Maple Creative Awards presentation ceremony for the best international education promotional designs. This award are proudly sponsored by the Higher Colleges of Technology and recognize the importance of creative and compelling designs in effective communication and brand building. We would like to congratulate all of the entries for their high standards of entries of these awards. And the awards are going to be for the gold, silver, and bronze winners in the 4 categories, which are Most Creative Corporate and Institutional Video, Best International Print Advertisement, and Best International Student Recruitment Brochure. And finally, and last and not least, Best International Website Page. The awards have seen 36 entries submitted in these 4 categories from 4 categories from 26 countries. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Tayyib Kamali, Vice Chancellor of the Higher Colleges of Technology, to the stage to give his address. Dr. Kamali.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's rather too late for any more addresses. You don't need any more speeches and addresses, but I am very proud to be standing in front of all of you at the very end of this wonderful conference and seeing many of our friends here from universities of the world, and of course special thanks to Khalifa University and to Todd and his team and Dr. Arif and everyone who has been instrumental in making this event a successful one and indeed a special one for all of us. I also want to congratulate ADEC for being also part of the organizing team and for their contribution to this wonderful conference. My reason for coming up here, since we will be hosting in 2017, I just wanted you to see the face behind the institution and the team that I'm sure you interacted. So there is no more addresses or points that I want to make. I think all of you and all the participants have done a very nice share of bringing the awareness to all of us when it comes to the issues that have been raised in the last 2 days. I want to congratulate all the winners, everyone who has participated, and we in the Higher College of Technology are very proud to be associated with this award, which reflects the commitment that the HCT has always had in the creativity for our students and everyone who is a part of our team. So congratulations to everyone before we pass and announce the winners. And thank you for the opportunity to be part of this wonderful event and this wonderful family of that's all here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kamali, for your inspirational words. And now I invite Ms. Mandy Mock, the CEO of QS Asia, to join Dr. Kamali on the stage. Please welcome Ms. Mock. This is a good time to recognize the members of the Higher College of Technology judging panel who have judged the entries and selected the winners of each 4 categories. Could the judges please stand when I call their names? Dr. Wanda Rias. John Little. Dr. Fadl Malik. David Moore. Shaheen Yazidini. Susan D. Guzman. Tamara Al-Qabesi. Johannes Douglas. Julius. Thank you to all of the HCT judges for your hard work. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, now it is the time for the 4th QS Maple Creative Awards presentation. The first awards presentation are the category of Most Creative Corporate Institution Video. And the entries are and the Bronze Award winner is L.N. Gyumilov Eurasian National University from Kazakhstan. Congratulations. And now, for the Silver Award winner is Gulf University for Science and Technology from Kuwait. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gold Award winner of the Most Creative Corporate Institution video is Dar al-Hikmah University from Saudi Arabia.
I am confident in any presentation. I am defiant against any limitation. I am responsible to carry out a mission. I am aware of my social responsibility. I am empowered with such education, and so I am ready to give to this nation. I am a product of Dar al-Hikmah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Hanan Talib, Atkins Assistant Professor at the British University in Dubai. Can I share a short story with you? I won't take too much of your time. A few months ago, I was called to the stage to receive one of the most prestigious awards here in UAE, entitled Emirates Energy Award. At that exact moment, and every time I receive an award or win a prize or make any achievement in my education or career path, my memory takes me back to the graduation ceremony in 2004. When we were very happy wearing our graduation gowns, Dr. Suhair Al-Qurashi, the president of Dar al-Hikmah University, came in and said, and I'll quote, "My daughters, today we're not only celebrating you as a graduates, but as a leaders." Since then, I knew that the success or the journey of success had just begun. So on behalf of Dar al-Hikmah alumni and students, I would like to say thank you very much, the conference committee, for this award, much appreciated. And I can proudly say I am product of Dar al-Hikmah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. and Alf Mabruk. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move toward the presentation of the category of Best International Print Advertisement. The entries are and the Bronze Award winner is Nanyang Technological University from Singapore. And congratulations. And now, for the Silver Award winner is the University of Newcastle from Australia. Congratulations. The award winner. And now, the Gold Award winner of the Best International Print Advertisement is the University of Johannesburg from South Africa. Congratulations indeed. ladies and gentlemen, the next award presentations are for the category of Best International Student Recruitment Brochure, and the entries are Bronze Award winner. And now, for the Bronze Award winner is Qatar University from Qatar. Alif Mabruk. And now, for the Silver Award winner is King Abdulaziz University from Saudi Arabia. Congratulations, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Golden Award winner for the Best International Student Recruitment Brochure is Nanyang Technological University from Singapore. Congratulations indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have the final awards presentation for the category of Best International Website Page. And the entries are And now, for the bronze winner is the University of Wollongong in Dubai. Congratulations. And for the silver award winner is Maha Sarakham University from Thailand. Congratulations. And now, for the presentation of the last, but certainly not the least award, the Golden Award winner of the international website page is the University of Newcastle, Australia. Well done indeed, well done. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this is now concludes the official award ceremony for the 4th QS Maple Creative Awards. On behalf of the College of the Higher College of Technology, I would like to thank Dr. Tayyib Kamali and Ms. Mandy Mock for their time today. Thank you. And also the HCT judging panel for their hard work. Congratulations to all the winners and well done for the entries. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you. Good job. Okay, there's not quite a conclusion. We've got 3 stars awards to hand out. We'll be very quick. I'm going to do it in reverse order. For achieving 2 stars in the QS star rating system, I'd like to invite the University of Babylon to come up to the stage, please. Well done. Well done. Well done. And for achieving 3 stars in the QS rating category, I'd like to invite University Malaysia Perlis to the stage, please. UNIMAP. And finally, for achieving prestigious 5 stars in the QS rating category, I'd like to invite University of Malaya, UM, to the stage, please. Thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over to Mandy, who's going to say a few closing words. She will then hand over to Todd, and then there will be an announcement from Qatar University about next year's event, and then we have a traditional Yola performance before the end of the conference. Thank you.
Well, we've now reached the end of the 4th QS Maple Conference, and I'd like to say it has proved to be another huge success in the history of QS Maple conferences, gathering about 300 delegates from 50 countries, truly global and boundlessly diverse. I hope you've had a wonderful experience networking with your peers during the last 2 days, and I also hope you found the diverse, thought-provoking presentations brimming with useful knowledge that you could proudly share with your colleagues back home. On behalf of QS, I would like to thank our organizing partners, Khalifa University and Abu Dhabi Education Council, for their unfailing support in helping us organize the conference in its best form. A big thank you to my QS Asia team as well. There are 9 of us here from the Asia office and 1 from the London office. And I'd like to briefly call their names out. Kim, my events manager, whom you're constantly in touch. And Crystal, the events executive. Simon, my GM, Ashwin, Head of Client Relations for the Middle East, and now with the rebranding of Maple, his responsibilities include those of North Africa and also India. And then there's Sahan, my IT manager, Bas, who is my social media expert, doubling up as well as our official photographer, and Jess, and of course the HR and accounts manager, Irene, and from the London office, Don Brody, Head of Finance. I would also like to thank all our presenters for their great contribution and all our delegates who have traveled from far and wide for their participation. Thank you so much. A big thank you also to our committee members and to Dr. Kevin Downing and to all the students from Khalifa University. Let's give them all a big hand. One last gentle reminder. As you know, we are a conduit for scholarships around the world, with more than 600 scholarships currently listed on our beta website, with the official launch of the qswow.com, which is scheduled to be on the 1st of September. So please send us your details of your institution's scholarship offerings so that we can publicize them worldwide on your behalf, absolutely complimentary. Once again, thank you and have a nice evening. See you all in Qatar next year. But before that, I hope to see you in Taiwan first in November this year for the 10th anniversary of the QS Apple Conference. Thank you and have a safe journey home. Oh, okay. She'd like to take a group photo of the...
Can we do it at the end? Sorry, just to keep everything on time. I'd like to invite Professor Todd Larson, our gracious host, to the stage and to thank him on behalf of all of you, the academic members of this community, for the hard work that he and his team have put into making this conference a success. Todd.
Well, I'll keep this very quick. As I mentioned in my opening remarks yesterday, it was a great honor for us to be one of the organizing partners for this conference. I'd particularly like to extend my thanks to our colleagues at ADAC as well. When I first met Mandy and her team, I guess a couple of years back, and started discussing the possibility of hosting this conference, I was very excited about it, thought I saw what the potential could be for us here in Abu Dhabi, the potential for interaction that I think we've seen for the last couple of days, and came back and found very willing and eager partners on the part of ADAC to serve as co-hosts or co-sponsors for this, so I'm very grateful for that. I'd like to add my congratulations to all the award winners this evening. The thanks that Mandy has extended, I would certainly echo. I would like to particularly acknowledge, in addition, my Vice President for External Relations, Omar Ode. I don't know if Omar is still here. He was in the corner. Omar and his team have, of course, we just had our graduation ceremony like a week ago, so as is typical in external relations, they had a lot of big events completely superposed on each other. I'm sure my colleague institutions recognize this. They handled this with calm and grace, and we're very grateful to the collaborative relationship that we had with QS, Mandy, your team, in putting this together. So thank you, Omar, and thanks to your entire team. The other particular thanks I want to give is to our student volunteers who were the facilitators in most of the conference rooms, breakout sessions. Several of them are in the back of the room. If you're here, would you please raise your hand and let us acknowledge you? I think it's good for us to remember that the reason we're all here is in fact these students. And I think that for them to be an active participant and part of this is very important. And so I'm very grateful to them. You're fantastic ambassadors for the UAE, for Abu Dhabi, and for our university in particular, and thank you all. With that, I wish everybody a successful ranking session tomorrow for those of you who are participating. I really wish I could, and in fact, I really wish I could go dune bashing as well. it's a lot of fun. I know that several of you are looking at that possibility. But I wish you well if you're staying for the ranking session. I want to extend my best wishes to many of our neighboring institutions who, of course, we're going to hear from Qatar University in a moment. But UAEU and higher colleges are all set to host this meeting going forward the next few years. I know that it's in very good hands. I want to congratulate them on that and wish you all a very safe journey back home to wherever you came here from. It was an honor to host you, and I do hope that you'll have the opportunity to do some exploring if you've not been here before you go home. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, we're winding down to the end now, but before we do, we always have a preview of the exciting next year's QS Maple Conference, which will be the 5th. We've managed to achieve 300 plus participants this year. I very much hope we'll manage 400 plus next year. My target, just to let Qatar University know, is around 400 plus delegates for next year and 500 for the year after. So it'd be great if we could break 2 years' targets in one go. It's my great pleasure and honor to welcome, to announce the 5th QS Maple Conference, Prof. Sheikha Abdullah Al-Miznad. Prof. Sheikha.
Good afternoon, everyone, and maybe good evening, I don't know. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates and guests, it has been a great pleasure to attend this gathering. And I would like to applaud Khalifa University for Science and Technology and Research and the Abu Dhabi Education Council for their superb organization of this stimulating event. You have set the standard very high indeed for the future Maple event in our region. And we look forward to reciprocate your hospitality and extending the conversation that were started here in Doha next year. Today I find that I have a rather difficult mission of summarizing in a few minutes the enormous amount of growth and activity that has taken place at Qatar University. The proud host of this event in 2015, and to give you the glimpse of that vibrant city of Doha and preparing for your upcoming visit. No more than ever before, universities are called upon to demonstrate their effectiveness in meeting the educational needs of their societies. In our region, this is often done where resources are scarce, but even where there are no resource constraints, universities in the globalized world cannot be isolated. There is a constant need for them to compare their practices, benchmark their programs, and generally open up to the outside world if they are to attract good quality faculty and good research collaborates. But the demands of such internationalization are not easy to meet. There is an inherent tension between what is required for international initiative, such as accreditation or ranking, which has been the subject of talking all this today or this morning at least, and between what we are perceived as local specification and unique needs. The question is asked, and justly so, whether the merits of ranking and for accreditation are necessarily in line with the local needs and demands. This is not just a philosophical question, given the enormous amount of human and financial resources invested in those initiatives. These questions render the discussion at this meeting crucial for the way forward. At Qatar University, the approach we have taken to international initiative is to take the best of what an initiative has to offer and apply it not as an end in itself, but rather as the means to enhance quality and improve practices. In the past few years, Qatar University has made tremendous strides on various important initiatives that focus on high-quality education and high-impact research. Many of our programs have received international accreditation from their respective specialized bodies. And I know there has been so much discussion about international accreditation or local accreditation, we at Qatar University, we believe strongly in international accreditation with the local accreditation. I think the problem which has, or the comment which has nobody mentioned, that normally most of the regional accreditation are institutional accreditation. But according to my knowledge, there is no body yet start looking into program accreditation. So all program at Qatar University, which has an international accrediting body, they have to do through accreditation. And programs which does not have an international accrediting body, they have to go another process of peer review and accreditation timelines. I think what we mean sometimes also people confuse between accreditation and licensing, or accreditations and quality assurance. So I think definition or clear definition is very important. For instance, most of our professional school has been accredited by international bodies, such as the College of Engineering, the College of Business, the College of Pharmacy, the College of Education, and so many numbers of programs at the College of Art and Sciences. In some cases, our program were the first and the only one of their kind to be accredited outside the country of the origin, like our program in biomedical sciences. It's the first program to be accredited outside the United States, for the whole world. Accreditation does not just offer students a stamp of quality assurance, but rather is a systematic process of enhancing quality and raising the standard for every aspect of the program. Qatar drives to build a knowledge-based economy has resulted in an explosion of research activities, whether in academic institutions or specialized centers and institutes of research. As the national university, we have made sure to be the forefront of such movement. After years of being primarily undergraduate teaching institution, Qatar University has invested seriously and systematically in research portfolio that leverages its comparative advantage and valuable resources. By 2013, with generous competitive funding from the Qatar National Research Fund program, Qatar University was able to engage in almost 300 research projects conducted over by 1,000 key investigators, representing over 1/2 of the lead primary investigators were from Qatar University. And I know, Dr. Sultan, you should feel happy and optimistic. There is so much light in the Arab world. There is so much pocket of improvement. So I think there is lots of hope, because your presentation this morning, it was a bit gloomy, but there is so much light everywhere. So please be optimistic. Because QU recognized the values of international and regional collaboration in furthering its research strategy, we collaborate with around 380 institutes, research centers, and companies around the world. We also recognize that building a strong and sustainable research infrastructure required a qualified graduate student, and we are addressing this by expanding our offering of master and doctoral level programs in line with the country's emerging needs. Equally important, research activity and funding extend to include students, enriching their educational experience and inciting them to commit to an academic career in research. Qatar University students regularly compete for and awarded student research grants in various areas. Given the funding and the research administration support provided by the university, research output has been continually increasing at an annual compound growth of 28.7%, the highest in the region, as measured by the number of publications and reference articles. Yet there is much more that we can do to advance the quality of teaching and research in our institutions, and to ensure that our students have been the best possible educational experience, and to ensure that our students have the best possible educational experience and preparation while they are with us, and constant self-evaluation and benchmarking are needed. The importance of combining international trends with the regional perspective on how best to rank Arab university cannot be overstated, hence the value of this event. Next year, we hope to see you all in Doha, and shortly you will be seeing a brief video that tries to capture the charm and energy and dynamism of the city. And because I know that no words or image can equal the experience itself, I hope that you get the opportunity to see it firsthand. Beyond its natural beauty and breathtaking infrastructure, you can visit the institution of education and research that are fast making Qatar an educational hub in the region. Once again, I would like to thank the organizer of this conference and you for your attention, and looking forward to welcome you all in Doha next year. Thank you. The video. There should be a video.
Just priming, it's ready.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And just before the Yola performance, I want to thank all the academic participants, those of you in the audience, those of you that took part in the panel, and of course my committee for all their hard work and for showing both intellect and wisdom during the debates. I think God blessed us all with an education. It's our job to ensure we pass that on to generations that follow us, so that the understanding that we've fostered here will continue far beyond Abu Dhabi. So God bless you all with a safe journey home, and I look forward to seeing you in Qatar. Goodbye. Gentlemen, the Yola performance. الله سبحانه